make sure we're showing up. Perfect.
Do we have
Okay.
people showing up for the party?
I don't know. I'm here. Just
That's all that matters. That's
here.
all that
You
matters.
here. Cool. We're having some people joining us. Thank you guys for being patient. It's me, Halley Wright, and Stephanie Alatorre. We're going to be talking about virtual listing presentation. We're going to go over a few tips and tricks, talk about some of the successes and the things that we can do to help prepare ourselves to look as professional as possible to our clients. So we'll get started in just a minute here. We'll let a couple other people hop on as we're getting ready. Anything else you want to say, Steph, to get us prepped and ready?
No, just welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday, right? I know we always are
Okay.
concerned or confused as to what day it actually is, but it is Tuesday, the 25th. This
I'm
time
glad
next
you
week, we'll
said
be flipping September.
that. I know. God, it went by so fast. This year went by so quickly.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
crazy.
Okay. Well, we have a couple people I will follow along with the Facebook. So, just in case you're joining us just now, and a few more people hop on, let's introduce ourselves, right? So I'm Hallie Wright. We talked about that. I'm the team leader from Keller Williams Coastal Properties here in Long Beach. And we have the introduce.
Stephanie Alatorre, the team lead over at the Calabasas office.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're excited for all of you joining us for the virtual listing presentation class training, any kind of conversation you want today regarding that.
Yeah. And, Stephanie and I were talking when we were getting ready to do this class, and, not all of you are still doing virtual listing presentations. So we obviously went through a timeline with COVID-19, right? We first had the immediate shutdown and we still needed to conduct business, and virtual was the only way we could do business there for a while. And some of you guys thrived and adapted and came up with new ideas, and others of you, maybe kind of shut down and went into hibernation mode. Now that everything's changed, the regulations have changed, things are a little looser in the sense of people's comfortability, wanting to meet. So Stephanie and I were talking about this, that not all of you are having to do virtual now, and a lot of you are doing in-person stuff. But it's important that we prepare ourselves to really feel confident in the virtual listing presentation, because not all of our clients still feel comfortable going out there into the world of real estate, right? Maybe opening their house up. So really mastering this skill, whether you're still using this on a daily basis or not, is really empowering. Don't you agree, Stephanie?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because there will be some aspect of virtual moving forward always. I mean, we are a belly to belly business, right? To where we need to, we still have those conversations. People still want to go in and see their house, etc. But people that work the second home markets basically are all virtual, right? To especially
Mhm.
like down in Newport Beach, etc. A lot of those are virtual listing presentation, virtual showings, etc. So it's just another really value add that you can be prepared, because a lot of the preparation is the same either way, whether you have your physical papers all lined up or your tabs all lined up on the screen, right? You still need to provide basically the same information, but it is about always being, the key to your success is preparation, right?
And think about any of your out of state clients as well. I mean, a lot of people have investments here that they're now getting ready to move out of state or already have, and they're keeping their properties here. Mastering the virtual presentation will always be relevant. I think that our clients are more comfortable now with this. They're more comfortable getting real estate information, virtually. So I think we should just dive in. Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay, cool. So, technology doesn't have to be scary, right? Master the virtual listing presentation. So, this is from one of my favorite shows, the IT guys. So, it's really funny. But, we're always so scared and overwhelmed because technology can be overwhelming. right? But it's really funny because mastering it, in my opinion, can be easier than mastering an in-person presentation because you have the ability to truly control the environment that you're presenting to this client. So it can be a huge benefit. So don't let it overwhelm you. Don't let it scare you. Your computer won't start on fire, right? Um, Oh, hang on. Some people are asking. Okay. Um, yeah, your computer's not going to start on fire. Don't be overwhelmed, right? Okay, cool. So, Steph, do you want to start going over some of this, preparing for your appointment?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I had that different. Yeah. So, you want to prepare. Obviously, we have to prepare for the appointment. Remember, the key to your success is preparation. So obviously, first and foremost is know your listing, right? Preparing helps you speak powerfully and intelligently about the home and the listing process. Knowledge obviously equals confidence. Ignorance equals fear. So basically, the more knowledge you have, the more confident you will be. And you can also have that opportunity, depending upon, obviously, if it's virtual, like we're discussing, to have that conversation with your seller to see if they'll possibly, do a video of their home, or do you can do FaceTime and have them walk through, so that gives you an opportunity to know about it. And then also, has it been on the market before, right? So if the home's been on the market before, you're able to go in and see the history of that particular home and be able to see the visuals of what it looked like when it was sold before, and be able to get information. Use visual aids. Visual aids and props help communicate the right information and energy, and so you can demonstrate more points easily, right? You can always record a coming soon video. I know Eileen, excuse me, does this. A coming soon video can help you show exactly the type of materials you will use to promote their home, right? And then, because like I know Eileen has talked about where she'll go in front of the house, right? Take a quick video of her, send it to them, part of her pre-listing packet. But, just to just kind of solidify and make that be able to make that assumptive close even before she got there. But, show your knowledge. Reputation and expertise are the main reasons why people choose a listing, choose a particular agent to list with. So basically gather materials to communicate so you have a great reputation, a lot of experience selling homes. And for those of you that are new, right, you have lean on the expertise of our offices, right? We have, years and years and years and years of a collective experience within each of the offices. So you're able to provide that information as well. So whether you're next one is show up early. So whether you're virtual or not, right, you show up early, right? So you want to start your Zoom or whatever mode that you are utilizing, whether it's Blue Jeans, Zoom, FaceTime, etc. Be there 15 minutes early is actually on time. Dress professionally, right? Even though, because first impressions are everything, and they can tell whether you're, if you have your business attire on and how serious that you're taking it. So, and obviously this may vary depending on where you are, but make sure that you look appropriate, right, for the community in which you will be selling. Role play beforehand. I know it's hard sometimes to get you guys to even role play during the week, but really, if you want to nail this thing, grab one of your accountability partners, grab Halley, grab myself or whatever, and just say, hey, can I just do the presentation with you real quick? And, I want to make sure that I'm delivering this, etc. So remember, practice is everything. Practice, 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 right? I always go back to the athletes, right? They practice more than they play, right? So it's very important. And review the seller's answers, because remember, you guys pre-qualified them. There's all these questions that you asked them. So you want to make sure that you know exactly what their motivation is to sell and expectations. And then get into your peak state, right? Your power pose, make sure you go in there with your energy and level 10 to perform.
That's great. And, we're going to talk a little bit more about using visual aids. Stephanie and I are going to show you the forward living that's guides that are provided to you when doing the Cloud CMA. And I believe it's also on Dash CMA. But exactly what Stephanie said, we're just going to prepare as much as possible. Make sure you're role playing. Make sure you're even practicing using the technology itself, right? So let's get into knowing your technology. So when you're practicing and preparing, it's important with a virtual listing presentation that you know the tools that are available to you and you know how to use them and use them in front of somebody, which can be a totally different experience, right? Just like we have when we're playing around on our computer at home, the moment that you see someone's face appear in the corner, it may make you feel a little bit more nervous or not know what to do. So feel just as confident with your technology. Most of them have walkthroughs and things that they can help you. Your team leaders are here. Your agent services are here to help set these up. So the first thing that's really important is to know the technology platform that you and your client prefer to use. Now, I say you and your client, not just you, because not everyone is familiar with all of these methods of presenting, right? Maybe they're more familiar with Zoom than they are with FaceTime, or vice versa. Maybe you can use a combination of Zoom and FaceTime, or, any of those, phone-based video recording apps so they can do a walkthrough. GoToMeeting is very similar. Making sure that you're familiar with PowerPoint or Canva to be able to prepare a presentation to go through, to add slides in there. We're going to talk a little bit about, adding in examples of print marketing, making sure that that's scanned and uploaded into your presentation. Showing a 3D Matterport, or your website example is wonderful on the computer because they're really going to get a sense of what makes you different and how you're marketing their home differently. Because we all know people are finding homes a lot more differently than they were 6 months ago and the type of research that they're doing online. So put together a PowerPoint presentation or use Canva. They do have PowerPoint sites on Canva as well if you're more familiar with that and you don't want to purchase PowerPoint. All of those are going to achieve the same types of goals. Put in there, we're going to talk about examples of testimonials, of letters of past clients that you've used, testimonials from any of your company, examples of just listed, just sold. All those can be accomplished in some type of presentation format. Even just knowing your computer is really important. How many of us get a computer or get a new computer or get a new laptop saying, great, now I'm going to do these killer listing presentations, and we have no idea what happens if all of a sudden the app crashes, or all of a sudden our computer freezes, or we don't know how to open up a new tab or do a double screened window. You want to be able to be very interactive and adaptive. So if your client starts asking you questions about maybe what's on the MLS or maybe about a listing that's down the street, you can just easily access that information without having to close your windows, right? Being familiar with Dash CMA or Cloud CMA, whatever your preferred CMA technology is to use, but Cloud and Dash have that pre-built forward living listing presentation that's absolutely fantastic. So do that. It's going to really resonate with your clients and it's going to look like you're adopting technology at a very high level to be able to help them sell their house. Even YouTube, knowing how YouTube works, you can preload some videos, for example, your marketing videos or your virtual walkthrough videos. Even you just doing a virtual open house. We've talked about that. Making sure you're filming that and having that available. You can put that on YouTube and you can show your clients as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, technology, don't be scared of it. Embrace it. You don't need to know at a very high level. You don't need to know how to code or create new programs, but even just knowing how to navigate on there is really important. It's going to make you seem competent, more than your average realtor. Right? So let's talk about our virtual presentation checklist. It's a little bit different than our regular presentation checklist, but it's very, very similar, right? There's just a couple steps. So, Steph, we're going to go over the CMA, right? We're going to talk about that in a minute, and Stephanie's going to show the example of what we're using. But know your strengths. How do you shine? With examples of what you've done. Even if that's something like Stephanie said, that's not you, but maybe it's your office or it's a colleague, you can absolutely take those successes to show how you feel confident and how you shine, right? Steph, do you want to just bounce back and forth between these? You want to go a couple of them?
Sure. So you did, the success stories. And then a lot of you have heard me talk about, make sure you provide a net sheet, right? So at least take one net sheet. And you may be in a situation where you're like, holy heck, I don't know exactly, you may not, even though you've done, let's say, a FaceTime with them and looked at what you think the house is, there may be, there could be a significant range, right, between what the price is. It could possibly be, let's say you're going to be introducing the KW concierge, right, to where, okay, without concierge, this is how much you're going to net. With the concierge, this is what you'll net. So you just, like you said, it comes with the tabs when you're doing everything virtual, right? You want to make sure that you have all these open so then you can be able to tell the story. And then your unique selling proposition. Okay, so this unique selling proposition is basically your value proposition, or what sets you apart, right? What is superior about you and your brand over the competition, right? So, to share with them, hey, this is what I do. Remember, a lot of it is your authentic self, right? You being you is what sets you apart, but let them know what your unique selling proposition is.
Yeah, know how to articulate that, right? And if you have a hard time coming up with that, talk to your team leaders and we can help you identify this. What makes you special? Because remember, we are all offering a very similar service, and that's to help buy or sell a house. What makes us unique is going to be our personality, our work ethic, our tools, and our branding that we get behind with our company. So you have the power of KW, you have the power of Forward Living, but you also have those unique propositions of your personality, right? That you have your experiences or your, how many houses you've sold over your career. Yeah, that's great. So have an eye-catching listing presentation. So in the CMA and Cloud CMA, we do have that pre-built like I talked about, but you don't need to just use that at face value. You can actually take those slides out and put them in a format like what we're using right now in PowerPoint or in Canva. So you can use the slides you want and interject some of those that you have custom built for your business. Always have a notebook on the side or a tablet, because it shouldn't be any different than when we're in person. Try to still engage and write stuff down. So like when you ask them a question, go, oh, okay, yeah. They can see that I'm writing, right? They can see that I'm really taking notes and that I'm really engaging with them. Even though it's virtual, it's the same way. Don't do it necessarily on your computer as they're typing, because you can tend to have a very glazed over effect in the camera. So still write them down old school or type them in on your tablet, so that way they can tell that you're not scrolling on Facebook or that you're not making an Instagram post, but they are actually updating, information that they've shared with you. The appointment agenda. So I always like having agenda when I do my listing presentations. I think it's important. Here's all the things that I'm going to go over today. Blah, 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 blah. Is there anything else on here that you would like me to address today? And then add that to the agenda, right? Add that, write it down so that you're showing engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. And then have, like Halley mentioned a little bit ago, have scanned copies of your printed marketing materials, right? So you can share with them, what you're going to do, and basically a step-by-step marketing plan. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, when we take the listing. This is what I'm going to do when we enter escrow. This is what I'm going to do on this date, your social media plan or what have you. But I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. So have scanned copies of your printed materials in there. You can even, we have it in here. I was going to mention having your what type of Facebook ads you're going to have, or Instagram or LinkedIn. you can have all those tabs open as well to some of your past posts, so they know what those posts are gonna look like.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely always have a photo of the exterior of the property. That shows that you've gone over and above, that you're actually, you drove by their house, took pictures, that you're doing your homework, etc. And then know about the neighborhood as well.
Mm-hmm. And make sure to, when you're doing the ads or showing any type of that social media interaction, always make sure that you show on there the number of views or the number of plays or the likes or comments, because that in itself is traction, right? Because if it's played 144 times, your client's going to go, oh, that sounds really impressive. 144 people watch this, right? So just make sure you can see that when you're showing that. Um, Obviously, have a listing contract ready. I like to, when you're doing a virtual presentation, already prepare it. You can go over and you could show it, pre-send it to them ahead of time as well if you're that confident. But have it prepared and ready. Always prepare it ready at 6%. I say that. Always go in at 6%, right? You can always modify it and have it go in lower, but do have that ready for your clients, because you can still have that interaction and get them to have a verbal tie down, when you say, okay, when are we getting ready to list your house, or when do you want the lockbox installed? Have something like that with them. Showing them the contract is going to help guide them towards that direction too. And then, like Stephanie talked about, have your marketing proposal, set up. It's completely different now with COVID. So make sure that you're very clear about how you're going to be marketing the property. You have the coming soon phase now, and depending on which MLS you're a part of, the coming soon phase is going to allow you different guidances and different restrictions when it comes to marketing the property. Make sure your client knows that. Make sure your client's aware of those differences and how you've adapted and changed to be able to maximize their dollar in this environment. So Mona asked what a net sheet is. Mona, a net sheet is a sheet that escrow can provide to you. You can also make your own, but have your escrow do it, which is basically going to show you the dollar amount that your sellers are actually going to net from the sale of their home. So it's going to give them a rough estimate. If you sell your home at this price, it's going to cost them this much in fees. It's going to cost them this much in commission, which means their take home is going to be this specific dollar amount. Okay? Cool. You want to start with this one?
Okay. See if I can read it. So best practices.
Get really close. It helps. Get really close. It helps.
I know, but I don't want to scare everybody on Facebook. Okay, so make sure you call one day before the Zoom or virtual appointment, right, to confirm your prospective sellers have the meeting ID and how to get on the call. So basically, it's the same old, right? So I don't want you guys worrying about, like, okay, if I'm doing it virtually, thinking that it's a whole other, all these other rules that apply to if you're doing it live. No, it's basically the same thing. You just have to be organized on your desktop, right? Or on your laptop. You just have to have the tabs open and all your stuff prepared that way versus laying it out. Make sure you start on time, right? It's no different than an in-person appointment, and you don't want to show up late for that. And when you have the virtual appointment being on time, you guys cannot, if you're late, you cannot use traffic as an excuse, right? Because you're sitting in your office and or at home. So traffic is no longer an excuse when you're doing virtual. And like we mentioned before, dress for success. Just because you're at home, I mean, you just have to dress for success from the waist up, right? Whatever you do, the rest, it's fine, right? But the waist up, you got to look, I'm good to go, right? Keep your background simple or use a zoom filter. Like even blue jeans, you notice that we have the blurry filter behind us. So they actually have some filters right now as well. You can put your company logo, all that kind of stuff. And did you want to here, you can go ahead. You're
Yeah,
next.
no, I think any of the Zoom backgrounds, if you have the ability to do the virtual background, if you need help, contact your agent services because most of us have pre-prepared really awesome, did you know about KW Concierge background or, to put your own branding in there. It's going to be a great talking point. It also hides the dirtiness of wherever you are Zooming from. So if you're Zooming from your house or your front or your desk or something and it's really cluttered, Zoom can take care of all of that. But that is a way, again, that's very impressive. It's really going to make a lasting impression on them. Don't sell, instead be a consultant, right? Remember, we're here to guide them through the process. We're not, we're helping them to sell their house. We're not selling their house, right? We are going to be a funnel. We're a vessel to be able to achieve what they're trying to achieve. And we use our knowledge to apply to that. So remember, don't sell to them, help them make a decision. Okay, be prepared. We talked about how to be prepared for the appointment. Make sure to have your comparable properties, which we'll do with a CMA at your fingertips or in your tabs windows. Make sure you're able to click back and forth from there with ease. So help them to discover the right price. This is super important. Share your information and, show them comps, show them the trends, but remember, they need to be the ones to make the decision. We need to be, I use this analogy all the time, we need to be the neck and your client needs to be the head. The neck can turn the head any way they want, but ultimately the head needs to make the decision, right? But we can use our powers of persuasion, our, great talking points, our, CMA, our backgrounds, our virtual supports can help guide them to that choice. But ultimately, it is their responsibility. So make sure that you do leave it in their decisions. Also, let them talk. So when you're doing a virtual listing presentation, like even with Stephanie and I, right? It's hard to go back and forth. It's hard to know when to stop and to have a natural break because most people don't want to interrupt. Obviously we never want to interrupt, but it's even more awkward on Zoom or on a virtual video. So make sure that you create points in your presentation where you have natural pauses and or questions for them to interact with, right? So try to not go more than a slide or to show them one thing without having something that can engage them back, either with a question or a statement, or ask them if this, does this make sense? Does this resonate with you? Leave a bit of silence there so they know that they can pick it up and ask the questions that they need to ask, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, why don't I know we have one more slide to go through, but why don't we start going through the CMA stuff?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I just wanted to add just a couple quick points on this, and then I'll share my screen.
yeah.
Is really, you like Hallie mentioned, you want to keep it a discussion and keep it interactive, right? It's a two-way conversation. And then also two other things that I like is really ask your clients what they would like to talk about, and learn from during the listing presentation. What are some important points that they want to make sure will be addressed? And then another thing too during the presentation is ask them what they love most about the home that they're selling, right? Because that's always great information. One, you'll be able to, you find out what they're passionate about. And if they're passionate about that, other potential buyers may be passionate about that as well. And that you can integrate it into when you're talking about your marketing plan, right? So, all little bits of information that you can gather is super helpful, right? Okay, which one is it?
Absolutely, Mona. So I see your question on here. Thank you for asking all your questions. So remember, you're very rarely going to go in with a determined price of a CMA. Going in and saying, I'm going to sell this house for $799, right? Because it's really your seller that's deciding that price. We may think that that's going to be the best listing price, But again, it's the seller's ultimate decision. So every time you create a CMA, you don't fully know exactly what dollar amount that you want to list it for. Okay. You may know that that's what you want, or you may have a range. So every time you create a CMA, like Stephanie's just going to show you, it's always in that instance. Okay. So why don't we can have a more 101 how to create a CMA or how to run through that process. But remember, this is for every single listing you go on, whether you know the dollar amount or not. Okay, you still run a CMA in the same way. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, you want to lead your sellers down the path to where they're the ones that own the list price,
Hmm.
right? I mean, sometimes that may be more difficult than others, but you find the comps. Hopefully, you find the comps, right? Because sometimes it's hard to find enough comps to support a particular price. But this is not about pre-qualification, but that's one of the questions that you ask in your pre-qualification prior to the listing appointment is what do they want to list their home for, right? And hopefully that they tell you, so then that gives you a range so you have an idea of where your buyers, what they're thinking about.
Hmm.
Okay, so what I have, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what we have here is, and this is not the class that we go through to show you how to get here, right? This is through the MLS, so on and so forth. What I'm sharing with you is the cloud CMA, right? And because you guys are Keller Williams forward living agents, right? You have this as a template in your MLS, right? To be able to choose from. And there's two different kinds. There's KW forward living. That's just the regular. And then we also have the KW luxury CMA that is in there as well. So you have two different ones to choose from depending upon your the list price, right? So what I've done, I actually had this, so I've shown this to you guys at my last class, at our last class in July, but I included every single slide that we have. So depending upon your presentation, you guys can leave stuff in and you can take stuff out. But once you have your houses, your comps, some active, pending, sold, maybe even expireds in here, when you have them all picked, this will auto populate and all this stuff will be done. Okay. So as you can see, it has the flyer for the introducing the KW concierge service. It lets you know what is included, right? So they have, my computer's like really slow. Sorry. Okay.
Know your technology.
Yeah, I know your technology. But you know what the cool thing is typically everyone's pretty understanding,
Oh yeah.
right? Because it happens. There's a dog barking. Well, you guys know I have a dog barking in my Zoom calls. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it has after, picture before. That's
So Angie, I don't know what Alan, we will try to, by the end, I'm not sure if you can be able to see it on my computer, but I will show you how to schedule a Zoom appointment. But Angie, this video we're actually making will always be posted on the Forward Living page after we're done. And then it's also on the Keller Williams Calabasas YouTube page. But this actual presentation that you're seeing Stephanie scroll through, this is in the Cloud CMA. Okay, so go back and watch the videos or go into your Cloud CMA and collect the Keller Williams Forward Living, right?
yeah. So it's one of your templates that you can choose from once you get in there, once you've already populated your listings, etc. But as you can see, there's a gazillion slides that you can choose from, right? It talks about the different, your individual property websites. I mean, it was made specific to us, right? As to everything that we provide. Like, look at here, they have a marketing timeline, the concierge consultation, imagery, floor plan, listing launch, signage, email campaign, print campaign, digital campaign, events, right? Which will be, showings by appointment only for right now, right? So you'll want to go in and have explain to them how you prep that. Obviously, because of COVID, you'll have discussions with them as to the proper etiquette, the guidelines, etc., for your taking care of them during this time. It goes into forward living as to all our offices, etc. Sorry that the scrolling is taking forever.
No, that's okay. Hey, Stephanie, so a lot of people on here are a little bit confused about where to find this. Do you have Cloud CMA open to show where you can click it? I think it's
okay. So here's Cloud CMA. So here is, let's see if it will let me. Okay. So this is for SRAR, ChrisNet MLS, right? So I click into my ChrisNet.
I've heard those. I know.
Huh?
No, I just love those pop-ups.
I know.
Pop-ups.
So what you do, let's say you're going to do a quick search, right? So we do residential, really wasn't going to.
No, even if you just click on the Cloud CMA thing itself, on the Cloud CMA application, does that make sense? So they know.
I'll go over here instead of doing it that way. So when you guys, here, hold on a sec.
Just that little green tab you have open up there.
Well, yeah, but I was going to show them how I got there.
Oh, okay. I was going to skip that step. I think they just don't know where the reports are, right?
Yeah, so you get to your Cloud CMA through, let's say I want to edit this. Okay, here. Okay, so here, we put the client's name, we put the subject property, blah, 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 right? So now I'm going to go update listings. Hopefully it takes me to.
It's looking good. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep moving. I'm going to customize report. So like I said, all that stuff populates, but that will be a different class. Okay, so here, where it has your CMA report theme, this is where you can choose what you want. So we can choose between KW Forward Living and KW Forward Living Luxury. So you guys just saw the Forward Living Luxury. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Forward Living. I'm going to choose that theme. Am I answering your guys' questions?
That's perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. I think that's what they were wanting.
Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to go ahead and publish report. Like you see, I kept everything in there. But the beauty of it is you can add, you can customize, you can do what have you. Okay, skip for now. Okay, so it's publishing. Okay, so we're going to view, and I'll show you guys what it looks like live too. So I'll view PDF.
So, Bryn, I would say if it's not showing up on the Cloud CMA, contact your agent services. Sometimes, try KW Forward Living. Keller Williams Northwest is not the right thing. So, I'd maybe contact your agent services or your team leader to be able to help you to make sure that it should automatically populate if you're a part of that group.
Yeah, so you might have to, so check with agent services and then, because they may have to call the board just to make sure that that you are in the system correctly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, if this will scroll down, see, whoops, see, it has that logo instead. It has Keller Williams Forward Living and then the Keller Williams in red Realty, okay, instead of the luxury one that was there before.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have the ability, oh man, let's see. Okay, go back here. And then you can view live. So this is a cool tool. So when you're doing it virtual, you can go ahead and click on view live, and it gives a whole different feel. It's almost more of a kind of a slideshow. So we're going to start presentation, right? So you can go through there, comps. So here are the comps, right? So all of a sudden this just loads up. So we have, this is the subject home. This is when it was closed a couple years ago. And then these are different comps in the area, right? So it gives the listing details, etc. Right? Average pricing, pending. There was not a whole lot of comps for this one, but it lets you know price per square foot, time to sell, online evaluations, estimated market value, commission distribution. You know, like I said, all of these things were in here. So you get to pull back. You can include whatever slides, what have you, that you want in your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two different ways to be able to share with them, view live or view the PDF.
And so professional. If you want to do the live is super cool. It's very interactive. It's very tech savvy, which is great. If you want to do, like we talked about earlier, actually put it into a slideshow presentation, so that way each of the slides is its own screen, download as the PDF, and then actually put that into either Canva or PowerPoint, and that way you can add in your other stuff that you want to add in. You can add in your testimonials. You can add in an image of some of your social media posts. You can add any of those things in if you want to adapt it, download the PDF version. That looks great, Steph. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, because you can even go in when it's live. You go get to the satellite, right? You get the satellite view of it. Okay, this is what the neighborhood looks like,
Super.
Right? And then you can open in Google Maps. I mean, it's just so, like Halley was saying, it was just so interactive to where, okay, look at here you are, you're near this particular elementary school. Oh, look at, you got West Coast Pet Production Pet Supply right across the freeway, right? What have you.
That's great. Perfect. So thanks for sharing that, Stephanie. They just had questions of where they were finding those, where you were finding those PDFs. So Angie, if during the listing presentation we're guiding them for the first time how to arrive at pricing, we shouldn't be providing a net sheet just yet, correct? So I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. Always bring a net sheet to every appointment regardless. Usually I like to say bring multiple net sheets, okay? If you are not sure about the price itself, if you're within a $20,000 to $50,000 range, do them at a couple different points. Maybe even do them at a couple different commission structure as well. Maybe do one at 5%, 6%, 5.5. Anything like that, have them be ready. I say be over prepared rather than under prepared, because a lot of people at the end of the day, that's like a persuasion tactic where usually they don't care about the specific dollar amount their home's selling for. They want to net a specific dollar. So they don't necessarily care about what they're going to be paying to you. They just want to make sure that they're getting X amount back. Right, Steph?
Yeah. Yeah, they're looking at the bottom line. So that's why a lot of times I feel that net sheets, one, are super powerful, right? And then you never know. I mean, who's your guy who's the guy, gal that you're going to be speaking to? They want to know the numbers. Like one of my listing appointments, the guy he's a lender. He's a president of a bank, right? So he knows his stuff, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I got to make sure I come in with my net sheet, so on and so forth. And it was so cool because my net sheet came in within $500 of what his net sheet was, right? So I knew that, so it's just important that you have that information. And the point that I was going to make too is that a lot of times they won't care about what the commission is, right? As much as long as they net what they want to net on the property, right? So that's why with Halley said, go at 6%, for sure go in at 6%. Why not even go in at 7%? You can even have a tiered commission structure, right? Okay, if I get you $1.2 million, we'll be at 7%. If I get you $1.1 million, we're at 6%, right? I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. So I don't want you guys sometimes on these listing appointments to be black and white. There can be so much gray in as far as how you structure, the pricing, possible price reductions, commission, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of different ways instead of going, okay, we'll do 5. Okay, you know what, we'll do 4. Right? You guys just be strong on what you all are deserving of.
Yeah, and Angie, you were asking virtually. Yeah, have them done virtually. Most often your escrow companies are going to email them over in the form of a PDF. So having it virtual just means having the PDF ready and open. Even better, having it built into your PowerPoint or your Canva presentation. Have that available to you. So just make sure that everything is on your computer that you can show them, and it can achieve the same goals. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to read this. So just to let you guys know, those of you on Facebook, listen to me now. This is not a class on pricing. This is not a class on negotiations, okay? We've done those in the past and we will continue to do them in the future, okay? So I don't want to get too off topic here by going into the negotiations and strategies of it, right? Virtual listing presentation is really what we're talking about here. If you have specific questions, reach out to your team leader or tune in to a future class or rewatch some of the old classes. Okay, so let me try to show you guys. Stephanie, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this on my screen if I screen share. Let me try doing it quick here. Okay, can you see the Zoom guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, good. When you're on Zoom, you can't see the Zoom app here. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys can see it. So someone there asked, how do you pre-schedule a Zoom appointment for your clients? So Stephanie's a pro at this, actually. I should be having her show this because she's good about scheduling all of her appointments. But right here on Zoom, you click this schedule right here. And it's going to come up here and you can do something very specific. So we'll do, Sarah Smith, 123 Rainbow Way, my favorite street apparently. And then you schedule the date, you schedule the time in here. It doesn't really matter how long you go. I say set it for an hour. You can always go over an hour. It's not going to cut you off in an hour, but that way it kind of lets your client know that to be prepared to kind of have that time blocked out of their day. Don't click recurring meeting because it's just regular. You can generate an automatic ID. So if you do have the Zoom account, it'll generate a random number each time. If you do have an account, you can actually use your personal meeting ID. So it's the same every time. It's just whatever your personal preference is. You can require a password or not require a password. That's up to you based on your security. The more security you have, the least likely that you're going to get Zoom bombed is what it's called. So do have a waiting room and do have a password is exact. So Alan, where is that exactly? So when you have a Zoom account, it pulls up this window. Okay, Alan, so you just have to download the Zoom account. This is your Zoom dashboard application on your computer. Okay, and remember, all I clicked was that schedule button right there. Got it? So video on, host off and on, participants off and on. That means it's going to automatically start your video or not start your video depending on where you are. Depending on when you show up. I always like to have the video off. You can always turn it on, but that way you don't get surprised. And and then the cool thing is you can actually link this to the Google Calendar. You do have advanced options over here. Again, make sure that enable room or the waiting room's enabled, and then enable join before host. You guys shouldn't have to be doing that because hopefully you're showing up to your appointment early, like we talked about, and they won't need to get in before you. So, yeah, when you click the Google Calendar here, so let's say we have this meeting set up, and you hit schedule. Not only is it going to schedule on your dashboard, but it's going to show you. Okay, I'm just going to click this for right now. Oh, but it's actually going to bring you to your Google Calendar. Oh my Lanta. So you can. I was trying to show you guys not my main calendar, but it's going to bring you here to the Google Calendar, and you can actually invite your client this way, right? So you can hit here, you can add a guest in here. There we go. You can add a guest in here, and that way it's going to automatically send them all the information. Okay, so it's super simple. It's a really great way to pre-schedule it. That way you know it's going to show up. You just hit start meeting. Your client's going to have all the information. They're going to have the link. They're going to have the passcode. They're going to have the ID, everything else. Okay, cool. How about any other questions? Okay, great. So Mona, again, I know you asked for the luxury PDF we were looking at before the Cloud CMA. The luxury PDF Stephanie had showed us is the Cloud CMA. She
Mm-hmm.
downloaded that to a PDF and was showing you that at first. Okay, so it's the same thing. Tomato, tomato. She just showed you how to get to those steps, right? Cool. How about any other questions? Alan, do you know kind of how to get there? If you need any other help, just, reach out to us and give us a call. Um, how many other comments? Steph, trying to read the Facebooks here to see what we can answer. How much is the Zoom subscription? No, I think it's like $10 a month. I mean,
$14.99.
$14.99 a month. Right, for the subscription. You do have 40 minutes for free that you can use on Zoom. If you guys saw, I believe it's on the Keller Williams Calabasas page. Back when all this started, I did actually teach a Zoom class to teach you how to do all that fun stuff, like use the touch up my appearance, which is kind of like having a fun little face filter on your camera, and all sorts of tips and tricks. So go back there and watch that video for sure. Yeah. The free one is under 40 minutes. So, and sometimes I hated with the free one when I would see that time clock start going and it would start making me anxious. Meny's does that every once in a while, and I see that there's 5 minutes left, and I start getting like, there's only 5 minutes. How about anything else, Steph? I think we're good. Any other
Yeah, I
comments?
think we're good. Just go in there and just be, make sure that you prepare, match your words and your tone, right? Manage your emotional state, right? Remember, communication is just more about the words and the body language. It's about your energy and emotional state. So if you may be having a funkified day or something like that, you just got to figure out, listen to your best music or anything like that. You just want to go in there because you're the authoritarian, you're the consultant, you're there to help them solve this problem. Have a strong personal psychology, right? Your mindset needs to be on point. You can have a breakdown after the appointment and before the appointment, but during the appointment, you got to have your shedizzle together. No, I'm just kidding. Focus on the client, build that rapport, be the authority, and just listen and pay attention. And you know what? Most importantly, have some fun, right? Have fun, enjoy what you're doing, and they'll know that you're there and that you're passionate about it and you're there to help them and just have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alan, where do we get a copy of the virtual presentation? We just showed you. You're getting that through Cloud CMA or Dash CMA. I believe Dash CMA has it as well. That's how you're going to get a copy, a very personalized copy of the PDF. right? Again, you go through, you actually create that. Make sure you're clicking the Keller Williams International or the Keller Williams Forward Living marketing, I think it's called, or theme of
Theme,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to add in all of those. So Mona says, wait, I have one more question, but I don't see a question from her. So maybe it was a statement. I don't know. Okay. Angie put smiley faces. Our Facebook is ready and raring to go today. So thank you. Well, Mona, I don't see another question. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up. Reach out to Stephanie and I or comment or post later. Oh, right. Okay, so about Zoom, 40-minute meetings are free or only one meeting for 40 minutes. So you have the ability to have meetings for free 40 minutes at a time, right? So the downside about that is that if it takes longer than 40 minutes, you're literally going to have to relog in and start a new meeting and then send your clients a new meeting ID. So trust me, pay for it. Just it's worth it. Even if you cancel the subscription right after you do your listing appointment, remember it's usually tax deductible. It's a very low cost if it's something you want to get started. So, okay. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about virtual listing presentations than you did before this class. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for showing everything and being my virtual listing presentation sister here. Appreciate that. And that's it. Reach out to your leadership if you guys have more questions. Make sure you're practicing. And, don't be scared of technology because it's not scared of you. So
I like that. Thank you, Halley. You're amazing. Appreciate you immensely.
for sure.
All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye. Have a good day.
The broadcast of Facebook Live has stopped.